any kind of kink or foreplay or anything like that is a way for adults to get out of a reality that they have and create a new reality through play. And sometimes that play can end in like sex, or sometimes it's more of just like a catharsis or a release of some kind. You know, and that's kind of how I look at my work, is that like it's fantasy just with better toys and ideas.
Let's ruin our lives.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Ruin Our Lives. I'm your host Josh Hensley, here on a rainy day, I guess, in Phoenix, Arizona. Joining me today, very special guest, super stoked to have you on. It is the one and only Dominatrix of comedy, Mistress K. How are you doing? Thank you so much for coming on. Good. So, you're a comedian and a dominatrix. How much do those two worlds, like, how much did they already overlap?
Honestly, I kind of always knew that I was a comedian because in my head, especially at work, the thing I'd be doing in my head, like the internal dialogue, I'd be like, oh my God, this person is ridiculous. Like, I can't believe I'm getting money for this. So it was like basically running a set in my head, but still while being I'm like, yes, you like it. But in my head, I'm like, oh my God, this is happening.
Nice. I want. Do the clients have to sign NDAs?
So I have a consent waiver form, and it depends on state, because every state has different laws about certain. So depending on the state, I have different consent laws. Like, for example, like Massachusetts, which is where I'm from. Right. Any kind of like touching or hitting is considered an assault. Right. So you have to be specific with the legalese of saying like that you've allowed me to assault you, explicitly state per client like what that entails. Fortunately, depending on the service, like a lot of the times, like the consent form wasn't so bad. Right. And a lot of the stuff, like it's just mostly like people in the kink community like really 100% observe consent as like the whole trail of everything. It's basically like principles or laurels that we stand by. So most people kind of know the drill. So a lot of times it's just like a conversation. And, you know, I get referrals from people that have been verified. Right. So it's not, I'm going to weird hotel rooms like beating people up.
Good. so like you make sure that you're safe. Do you
there's a vet process.
Okay.
Yeah, there's for everybody. It's funny because like living in Las Vegas now, I think I'm like one out of like 3 doms that is like working in town here. Oh, okay. And, but most of the people are just like, you know, hookers and stuff. Right. And it's funny because like I hang out with a whole crew of them, and like their vetting process, I'm like, really, you don't do this? You know, they're like, no. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm like, why?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for your own safety.
Like, I don't even have sex for money, and I do more research.
Right. I've always wondered like how like dominatrixism, I'm not sure what you would call it, like how it does fall under the law and like what makes it legal. So it's not considered sex work.
It is considered sex work. Okay. It is considered sex for a lot of different reasons, because there is like a sexual component to it, because people do receive like gratification through it. Right. You know, like, and again, I have no tea, no shade on escorts or anything like that. Sure. Like my best friends are escorts and stuff. But it's just not something that I was really ever into, because I was like, I can make more money creating a fantasy and hitting these people than I can, you know.
Sure. So, forgive my ignorance here, but like, what makes it legal, I guess?
Well, in the city, well, basically in Las Vegas, prostitution or sex work of any kind is illegal. So there is in Nevada that it is legal. Like there's Grump and Reno that you can work, and they have legal brothels. Oh, so basically, you know, it's not. Everybody knows that it's happening, but it's just not something that's like talked about, I guess. Like nobody's just like, oh yeah, like, you know, I can't wait to, you know, go to the chicken ranch or whatever. You know, like, but it is just something that people know that is there. The thing is with OnlyFans did really good work in terms of like content creators, because what it allowed people to do is to get around all the legality of sex work, because you're not actually doing anything, you're just performing in front of a camera. The downside to cam work is that a lot of these people are not paid a going rate. Like there are a lot of cam work places in Las Vegas that the venue that you work out of, right, you're basically renting the space so that you can go live on their platform. And for every $1 that the site makes, the content creators the workers are only making like 24 cents for every $1 the site is making. So so when people think that like it's just so easy, you can get in front of a camera and like all of a sudden you have all these millions of people that are spending dollars on you, it's not that. It really is a job. So like I give props to a lot of people that do cam work and that are escorts, because it takes a lot of work, like, and it's it's competitive market out here, because yes, although people have certain kinks for things, like that's like my bread and butter is people that have like the one-offs fantasy, especially in Las Vegas, right? They're like, I'm in town, I want to try this, blah, blah, blah. Right. And then I have my steady regulars, not so much now because I'm focusing more on comedy. But California, like, you know, I still go to California from time to time because I have a regular, and like, that's like, I'm his mom, like it's an adult baby situation. Like it's that kind of fantasy person. So depending on what people are into and what kinks that they're into, there are service providers that will give that type of work and service for people. So it very much is a job, and it's very competitive. Like if you look at any of the escort sites, especially in Las Vegas, like these women, they're like models. Like they're like models. They spend thousands of dollars to get their pictures and airbrushed and photoshopped and all that stuff. And then places like the Chicken Ranch or like the Mustang Ranch that are out in like Pahrump or like Reno, and you'll see those ladies' photos, and you're just like, okay, it's like it's like ordering from Neiman Marcus versus like ordering from Costco. Like, like you really do get what you pay for.
Is it true what they say about clients? You know, I don't know, you know, how I have this in my mind, but like the clients who tend to like go to dominatrixes tend to be like people who have power in their like professional lives.
Yes, but they're also just like regular people that like maybe have lived out certain things in their life. What I notice is that like most of my male clientele in the past are people that have been in like high powered positions. Like they're usually a boss or they supervise a team for most of and then I've also had like the guys that you can tell like their wife runs the roost. And and like they just kind of they enjoy that, you know, humility and degradation. So it's just like I'm like, you're getting bombed like 24/7. I don't know why you're paying for this service, but it's
interesting. So there really isn't like any one reason why somebody would be into that, because like I don't know, I've seen people consider it to be like a shame kink, like they like to be shamed, or
shaming kink is definitely one of my specialties. I love that, but just because I'm like I really just for the most part hate
same here.
Like men in general, like there are good men out there, but like as a general species, you guys are just like epically failing.
I'm aware.
Like this everything that's on like the bro podcast, like the man the man loneliest epidemic, and I'm just like, I was like, why do you think you are like that? Because you guys are all like listening to Joe Rogan and friends.
For sure. Or especially that one guy, what's his name? Andrew something. You know who I'm talking about? He's an older guy. Andrew Wilson, I think. Yeah. That guy's pathetic. But not to be the guy that's like, oh, I'm so different from other guys. But yeah, I do realize that a lot of males fall for this, like, you know, like dominating everybody around them for the sake of their own fragile ego. We all grow up with it.
I think like on a weekly basis, I'll have someone come up to me and like their perceptions of what a dominatrix should be, right? You know, leather, black, emo, and I'm like, yes, some of us are. I was like, but also like people like me that like love bright colors and are a very inclusive person and nice, and I'm nice, and people are like, wow, you're nice, and I'm like, you haven't paid me to be mean to you, like, you know what I mean? But I'm also very direct. Like that's what that I will say about me and my comedy is it's like it's very direct, it's very in your face. Yeah. Like I'm or I'm not. Like I'm either like the person that you're like, I want to champion this person because I love what she's saying, or you're like a guy where like, ugh, somebody put a muzzle on that woman. You know?
Yeah. Have you encountered a lot of that, like in your comedy? Guys coming up to you afterwards, just talking shit.
That, or they're like, hey, you know, let me tell you what I'm into, or whatever. That I get that 9 times out of 10. Or I get the guy who's never done comedy in his life, but be approachable. They come up to me like, hey, let me tell you a joke. Maybe you want to put that in your set, sweetheart. Like, oh my God, really? Hold on. I write this down for you.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I'm going to put that in there.
Wow, yeah. I mean, you would never go up to a musician and be like, hey, let me give you this riff.
No.
That's wild. Do you ever get clients who are comedians or like people that you know from the comedy scene?
So funny you should say that. I had several very like well-named people because I used to do a podcast at the Comedy Store every Sunday.
Oh, cool.
So I was around like, you know, big name people that would just like pop at the store and stuff. And, you know, when you hang out at the bar, you know, like comics talk shop and all this stuff. And I would run into a lot of people, and there were several big name people that were like, hey, da, da, da. And I was like, I have like a no comic policy.
Right. Smart. Yeah.
Just because most comics are broke. And then ones, right? The juice isn't worth the squeeze.
For sure.
And to be fair, like as most comics, as we do, is like we take from life experiences and put it into work. So I just didn't want to be the butt of someone's joke or like, you know, because what my career is as a pro dom is that like I would never want someone to speak ill of my profession, right? And in that way, like only I can talk shit about my profession because I am the one that's actually doing it, you know. So I just always thought that, and it's better to keep church and state separate.
There you go. Well put. Yeah, no, I think that's very smart for sure. So I guess, and not to harp too much on this, but I'm interested in like psychology in general. So I just like, what do you think? So, I mean, we've established that there's not one reason why somebody would want to be dominated, right? It comes from a plethora of reasons. Is there, like, a defining thread, you think, in the personality that would... And I'm not trying to shame in any way. That like, connects all those different types of people and their reasons?
No. I can honestly tell you no. Being in the lifestyle for as long as... No. Yeah. Like, there are certain pockets of people that are into things, and you're like, that makes sense for you. Like, you're that type of person. Right. Like you would with any type of group of people, like nerds, right? People that are into, like, you know, fantasy and cosplay and all that stuff. Like, subsets of people that are just into things because they're into those things. But I would say, I would quote Auntie Midori, which she's been a dominatrix for, I'm not even going to say how long, because God forbid I don't age shame. been around for quite some time, and she always tells people, like people that are not in the lifestyle, like how to explain it, because people are always like, why would you want to do that, you know? And for everybody, they have their own psychology behind why they like the things that they do.
Right.
Just like,
right.
for example, you have your preference, like you might not like a certain type of cheese, you know, like, but
Sure.
you know, whatever. So there's always like preferences and things that people like. Also, like certain experiences remind them of stuff. But for the most part, like kink is like any kind of kink or foreplay or anything like that is a way for adults to get out of a reality that they have and create a new reality through play. And sometimes that play can end in like sex, or sometimes it's more of just like a catharsis or a release of some kind.
Okay.
You know, and that's kind of how I look at my work, is that like it's fantasy just with better toys and ideas.
Wow, you
know?
You really kind of opened my mind. So like when it comes to like kink, is there like a defining aspect of something that makes it a kink? Like, for instance, could like aggressive kissing be considered a kink? Or like, I feel like when, or at least myself, when people think of kinks, they think of more like, you know, BDSM, like whips, chains, handcuffs, feet, or whatever. Like, can it really just be anything
that you're really into?
Okay.
That's what kink is. Now, a fetish is something that is something that already is existing, and yet you're into that particular thing. But everybody classify things that they like as their specific kinks. Okay. Right? So kissing, if you like to aggressively kiss or like bite the bottom lip every time you kiss, that could be your specific kink. Now that's like there's no support group for aggressive kissing kinks that I know of.
Right. It's just what came to mind. I don't
or like or a subset of Discord where people are like, I totally
right.
Oh, have you tried the top lip? Do not leave the top lip out. Like, no. Yeah, but like, and then fetish, like you can be fetishized by anything. Like people can be fetishized, like comedians. If you think about it, comedians are fetishized by chuckle fuckers.
True, very true.
You know? Same thing with rock stars. They're fetishized. Sure. So,
okay. Yeah. I like that. It's like taking the stigmatization out of the word, and like
that's the thing, and that's just people's ignorance and not really knowing anything.
Right.
But to be fair, like I get it. Like it's crazy how still in America there's like such a taboo and a stigma around talking about sex openly.
For sure.
You know, or sexuality in general.
Yeah.
Whereas other countries, they like talk about this like from an early age.
Right.
You know, like, even now, like I'm 40 and I like still would never like to my dad be like, yeah, so about like I would, you know, like it would just not be something. It would just be super awkward.
For sure.
But like in like European countries, like people talk about sex openly, and it's not something stigmatized or something that should be, you know, behind a curtain. It's very much based and like everywhere. So it's not, you know, it's not one of these things where like people are like, oh my God, don't talk about that. It's just like, it's very much out in the open.
Right.
People accepting of things. I think in other countries like Amsterdam, you know, they have the district, like, and it's not like, it's just another district like Chinatown or, you know, like Little Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
like it's just another space. It's not like, oh, that's, you know, like.
No, for sure. In 2004, I actually went to Europe with my brother and my dad. And my brother had just gotten out of Iraq. And I was 18 years old. And he took me to my first ever strip club in Frankfurt, Germany. And we actually went into, I guess, a brothel, whatever you would call it. I don't know. It was just like an apartment building kind of with the doors open, but I was a coward. I didn't do anything. I'll regret it for the rest of my life, to be frank. But and I didn't want to spend any of the little bit of money that I had. But yeah, I mean, there is definitely that huge blight of Puritanism in America, but at the same time, like we use sex to sell products like beer and football games. You know what I mean? Like, do you, excuse me, do you think that like the repression of sex, but at the same time of the exploitation of it affects sex the way, I mean, how do I phrase this? Like the way that sex work operates, I guess? Like, you know what I mean?
Percent. I think so. Just for the again, I don't know statistics from the hole in the ground. I'm just making educated guess.
Sure.
But I feel like America is probably the biggest offenders of sexual assault, rape, and pedophilia.
Seems like it.
And I don't think that would be the case if we were more open about sex and sexuality,
right?
And where it was more of like a coveted or like very like taboo topic, and like it wasn't discussed openly.
Right.
I think a lot of, especially like going through the pandemic, did not help a lot of people, because if you're already somebody that's mostly like cellular and you don't really go out and you don't really experience those things, you know, or you're not around people, you know, you kind of self-isolate. And I think, you know, like everybody talks about that like one incel that's like on some group chat and it's like, yeah, fuck women, like we'll kill them all, like type of thing. Right. And I think that it, like, I mean, it probably does exist in other countries, but I don't think it's like the level that it is here in America. Right.
It's not like a culture.
Yeah, for the simple fact that if, hey, you're not getting laid, you go down and you go get a service. You know, you go to a brothel, you go get your jollies, and then you go home and you're fine. Like you're a regular person. But in America, you know, because of, I don't know, it's like the founding fathers, or because there's so much Christian rhetoric out there, especially the times that we're living in, where like people are coming for queer and trans folks alike.
It's crazy.
Like, is this impacting your life? Right. You know what I mean? Again, like anybody who grew up with the opposite sex in their home has shared a bathroom with people. Like, is it really that big of...
That's a good point.
I just... and I think I'm not very educated on that subject to say, but I mean, if I were to make an educated guess, I would say that like that's probably why a lot more shit happens here in America. Like, think about the sex trafficking trade.
Oh my God!
I'm pretty sure probably one of the biggest imports of sex trafficking people.
Definitely.
I know Las Vegas, we're a hub for it. I mean, in pretty much every female restroom that I've ever been in, even in big hotels and casinos, they have on the inside of the bathroom, female bathroom stalls, like, if you are a victim of sex trafficking, here's what to contact, here's what to do in your establishment to alert staff. Like, there are those notices in places that you're like, I'm at the Bellagio. What the hell? Like, but it's literally everywhere. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think I saw that at the Vegas airport in 2024, actually, inside one of the stalls, or something similar. Wow. Yeah. No, that's very true. What? Okay. So. And obviously, I want to talk about your comedy too, but this isn't. I'm wearing my favorite Mistress shirt. I don't know if you can tell. It's Elvira. Yeah. What steps do you think? So I mean, okay. Let me backtrack. Would you consider Dominatrix to be like an art form?
For sure. For sure. And there are a lot of us that specialize in certain things. Like for example, like Shibari. Like I know I can Shibari is it's the practice and art form of rope tying.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's prevalent in Japanese culture. So that's where it stems from. But Shibari and rope play is like very much a big fetish for people.
I've noticed. Yeah.
I studied. I mean, you could probably Google search like rope workshop and it would pop up pretty much every
very intricate and like super like
to do it.
I'm sorry, it kind of cut out right there.
Oh, I said it. You could probably look it up at your local YMCA. Like that's but like I would consider myself like a very basic beginner. But there are levels like you can master in it, and like if you look online, you can do a Google search where you can see how intricate the rope and the designs are when tying a person up, and it really is an art form, as well as a kink and a fetish. So it's there's different levels, and there are certifications, believe it or not.
Really? Wow.
In our field, for certain things, and also like as a professional, like I wouldn't offer somebody a service if I wasn't comfortable or if I knew exactly what I was doing, and that like the consent wasn't fully discussed.
Right.
Like things, my professional background, I was a nurse for a while.
Right.
So like for me, like I don't want to do any kind of like harm play that would like leave a mark or a scar of some kind. It's just, for me, it triggers something else in my brain where I'm just like, oh my God, are you hurt? Are you okay? Like, Okay. So it's just not something that I would want to do. But there are other people that have no problem with that. So it's really, you can ask a million dominatrixes and people will tell you something different. So,
that's fascinating.
And there's a lot of us than people would think. There are a lot of people that are very dominant, that out there. I mean, there's tons of, like Las Vegas, there's tons of play parties that are in town with kinky people. If you go on FetLife, that's like basically like it's fetish Facebook for pretty much anybody that's looking for stuff, that you can connect with people. Again, I'm no expert. I just this is my experience and what I've come to learn out of my career doing things that. So yeah.
Wow, I mean, it's super interesting. Okay, this is my last question on the subject. What makes a fetish? I guess, like for instance, I'll give you myself as an example. I'm really into Iranian women. I think they're wildly beautiful, but I also see a lot of people, online being like, don't fetishize like me and my ethnicity or whatever. Like, I guess my question is like, when does it become like disrespectful? Because I've known a few Iranian women and like dated one, and they're just so beautiful to me. Like, does that constitute as a fetish, and would that be considered like disrespectful?
Well, it's absolutely a fetish.
Right.
It's also preference. I think where borderline becomes inappropriate is if you're doing something to hurt that person directly.
Right.
Because you can't help but fetishize certain people. Like, I know, like I'll see it. Like, again, I live in Las Vegas. I see the guys that are in the all male review shows all the time. And they're extremely hot and good looking, and I would totally fetishize. But as soon as they open their mouth and they start talking to you and having a conversation, like immediately, like it's like, I know, don't I?
Yeah.
Please go somewhere else in the bar. It's one thing to have like your ideas and your preference about something, like the fantasy, right? You have these fantasies about certain things, but then the reality is that the fantasy is not exactly what the reality is. Right? So like you might have this thing, you might fetishize Iranian women, but then you might meet one and you're like, oh my God, yeah, you're beautiful, but like, God, I can't stand you. Like, please shut up.
I can think of one.
It's like is outwardly hurtful for a community. Like you're not going on their back, right? Or you're stalking them like, hi, remember me?
No, of course not.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. So so like predatory versus like appreciation, I guess.
Yeah, I also it has to do with everybody's comfortability with stuff, like there are people that are more, comfortable around certain things, like because I'm a very open-minded person, like when people tell some of the things that they're into, like I'm like, that's cool, man. Like, like again, not something that I'm into, but I'm not gonna like shame or like be like,
so
gross. Like,
since you said that, I'm sorry, I have one more question on the subject. Are there some kinks that go too far? Yeah,
absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
But that's anything, right? There's that have gone too far. There are presidents that have gone too far.
Yeah.
And a lot of course, like that's with anything. Again, within the kink community and like the community itself, like consent is such a powerful tool, and it's like the laurel that we all stand on. It's just like, is this okay? Is this okay? Like, what are your boundaries? What I can do, what I can't do. Mm-hmm. Would you like this? Would you like that? Is this pressure good? Is that pressure good? You know, are there any areas I can't touch? Like, that is all like a part of the consent. You know, is it okay if I say this? Is there anything that might trigger you to not have a good time during the session? Because at the end of the day, like, you want to give like the person that you play with exactly what they want in this fantasy. Right. Like, some people, they know exactly what they want. Like, they want to release. Like, I've had so many clients, like, after a session, that it's called aftercare, where you ask people, like, after this is done, what exactly do you need? Like, sometimes people need a hug. Sometimes they need to be left alone, quiet space. Sometimes people need meditation music. It really depends. Sometimes people are just like, all right, see you next week. You know, like, there are people that like certain things or need certain things and aftercare after a scene. So it's not just it's not just the service and doing a scene, but it's also like, what do you need from me after this happens? Because a lot of times, you know, depending on people's trauma, a lot of times, like, this is therapy in a way. Sure, yeah. Like, I see time to time, this man pays me just to listen to him. Wow, really? Like, I mean, I built it into a joke because it is like the worst thing ever, because this man is so privileged and he's just like, tough for me, it's so hard. And it's just like, to actually pretend like I actually give a fuck is really hard. Because like, you literally have no problems. You're creating all these fucking problems. Yeah. From it, you're good. But again, everybody's journey and the way they perceive their own life is completely different. So, like, that for me is like the worst. But he pays me really good, so it's like, okay, I just, and how did that make you feel? Wow. Here's a tissue. Like, and that's what that man needs, because he doesn't get it in his life. Right. So a lot of people think it's whips and handcuffs and, you know, chains and slapping and all the things, right? And again, 50 Shades of Grey, terrible movie, right? Like, does not adequately even remotely begin to tip the iceberg of what kink is. I think what it did, though, it did help my business because it made it more in your face, and it kind of destigmatized things. Okay. But it also made people think like, oh, these people are just burning cigarettes on people's backs, like, without consent. And it's like, no, it's very not that. Or like, it's a 150-page contract, red light, blue light. Like, no. It's like, when I watched that movie, I was laughing in the theater, right? Because I was like, as a dominatrix, I have never had that experience. I was like, I would never do that. And it was just like, it was very funny to me, but I also realized that it was a movie. Right. It was not off of a real life. And there was a series on Netflix that was called Bonded or something like, it was about this young, you know, like, hot dominatrix that like worked in York City club, and like a lot of that, I mean, it was more accurate, but it was still for TV. Right. So it was just very funny. You know, it's very funny because, again, this is what people perceive our lifestyle as like, and then it's like the reality of things is so different. Like, the clients that I have are like family at this point, because it's like, we've done things that are very intimate that you can't just do with like a regular person. Right. You know what I mean? It's almost like, I could equate like my relationship to my clients as like mostly like a therapist. Right. It's like a therapist. Like, I listen to you, I give you exactly what you need. You feel a way when you leave my session, and then, you know, you come back. That's actually pretty sweet. It's like you're providing a caring service in a way that's stigmatized as like violence. Yeah, well, that's kind of the thing, right? Is like, especially with kinks and fetishes, right? People feel accepted because why? Because they're with like-minded people, right? it's the same thing with comedians, right? Comedians, we feel more comfortable when we're in a room full of other comics. Why? Because everybody knows what the deal is. Everybody knows the grind. Like, for example, you can tell if you've ever gone to an open mic, right? Nobody knows the rules to an open mic. They're not like, okay, so we're going to flash the light. Like, this is where the light is. Nobody really explains that.
Right.
It's just something that we all inherently know. It's just like, how much time do we get? Oh, okay, we get the light at this. Okay, and we know that. Why? Because we are in a group of like-minded people that all kind of know the deal. It's the same thing with people that are like, you know, who are furries, right? They all know what it is, right? They all have like their mecca where they congregate. It's the same thing with people that are foot fetish people. And it's funny because foot fetishism is on the rise. It was something that no one talked about.
For sure.
But with the invention of TikTok and like women selling, you know, feet pics and all the things, socks and stuff, like it's just like, it's not that weird anymore. Right. But like, if you'd ever say, I would say early 2000s or the 2010s, if you ever said anything about foot fetish things, like people were like, what? Don't.
For sure.
Like, oh, I have a foot fetish. No big deal. You know, whatever. It's very funny because when I lived in Boston, I used to work at this foot fetish club. Okay. Right. And I was a foot model. And what it was a strip club that they had turned one night out of the month into a foot. And the strippers, right, were the foot models. What we would do is we would walk, and the table, you would be almost at eye level of feet, right?
Oh, wow.
We'd walk. You would never see, like, above the thigh up. We were covered. So you wouldn't see the person walking. You would only see their legs and their feet. And then depending on the night, like one night would be like, you know, pumps. It would be like, the theme would be pumps, high heels and pumps. Other one would be like boots and leather. Sneakers was one of them, or slippers was another one, like slipper night. So you'd walk in whatever the theme shoe was, or some nights it would be barefoot. We'd have a barefoot round. And people would like tip you, but also bid on your feet. And then afterwards, your feet.
I'm sorry, you said bid on their feet?
Yeah. So guys would be like, I'll pay $300 to rub your feet for like 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And so when you're done walking, you'd meet to the people that would give you money and they'd massage your feet. And I was just like, I can't believe that, like, people don't think that this is great. I was like, I'm getting foot rubs by multiple people.
That sounds
like,
pretty great.
some people are a little weird because they really like get into your toes and stuff and be like, you know?
Yeah.
But me, like, I like when people touch my feet, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
Sure.
Also, maybe I'm into foot fetishism. Because nothing's happening right now, I'm totally against. Like, I love all of it. But I also love making the money. Like, it wouldn't be something that I'd be like, you know, I was dating, you know what would really turn me on? Like, I wouldn't, you know, unless it was like, you know, there was 100 in it for me. Or
sure, yeah, nothing wrong with that. Okay, this is really fascinating stuff. So this will be a good segue into comedy. The way I hear comedians talk about bombing, like they say it's like soul crushing. You know, it's like the worst feeling in the world. You know, I've heard a lot of comedians say that. I'm sure it's not true for everybody. I've also heard others say that they just roll with the punches or whatever, and they just go with it. Then would you think that comedians are sort of like that they sort of have a natural dominatrix within themselves, like this need to control a room and to get that like immediate gratification of laughs? Yes.
I think anybody that does comedy where you're on a platform where you're judged by people, like there's something that's off-hinged about all of us inside. There's something that's damaged and broken because what we're doing is we're outwardly looking for validation. And the way that we do that is through laughter, right? It's something that gets a response from an audience. So when we bomb and we don't get that response, right? That's why it's soul crushing, because you didn't get that validation. Right? Like, the way that I explain it to people, because I've had a lot of jobs, right? And like people are like, oh, I can't believe you did this. Like you worked here, you worked there. Like when I quit my nursing job to become a comedian full time, like people are like, you, what do you got, rocks in your head? And and I was like, dude, the way that I felt when I got on stage, and I did pretty well the first time I did comedy. Like I wouldn't say I crushed or anything like that. Like knowing now, I'm in my 9th year now of comedy.
Nice.
But like when I got up on that stage, it was like, you know, dopamine, oxytocin, the dome, right? It was better than any kind of fucking drug you could ever have, any kind of high, because it was just like you were excited, you were nervous, right? And then you got up there and you just said what you had to say, and people had to listen to you, right? Because you have a microphone, you're louder than everybody. And I think even more so for me as a woman, right? That again, my own background, I was never listened to, right? I was never given credit for certain things. I was put down consistently for things. That's why Dominatrix was so appealing to me, because it was just like, no, you respect me, you listen to me, and you do what I say. And it, in terms of gender, it flipped that role where it was like, I'm not a submissive person. I'm the one in control. And again, I think, you know, you could talk to a lot of people that have seen me perform, but it doesn't matter the room that I'm in, whether there's 25,000 people or 25 people or 2 people. I will get those people to listen to me come hell or high water. They might not like what I have to say, or it might not be funny, but they do listen. And that's because I do command a presence every time that I get on stage. I also think that it's because I'm pretty and the way that I dress. You know, typical female comic. I don't jeans and a t-shirt. Like that's not my aesthetic at all. It's very much crazy hair, makeup, and like sparkle. Like it's very much, because I always thought in my head doing comedy that like I might not be the funniest bitch on stage, but I will be the best looking.
Nice.
So like, you know, and that's another thing. It's like when people see me on stage, they go, "Who the fuck is this bitch?" You know, what the fuck is she wearing? So it was always like, that was always my intention, just to be like, "Oh, look at me, listen to me," you know, and that'll work for so long. But in order to captivate an audience, right? The look and what you say has to be appealing. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. People will turn off and not give you anything. And I, just to kind of like go on that train, is I remember we did a tour. My company, I produced a tour in Minnesota, right?
I used to live there.
Minnesota, don't you know, right?
Very.
Oh, because I'm not from Minnesota, never been to Minnesota. But the girl that we had partnered up together to work together, she was kind of off and on there, so she didn't really know like the comedy scene or anything. But anyways, we booked a couple of shows. We did 3 shows at Rick Bronson's House of Comedy in the Mall of America.
Yeah, okay.
Which should have been a banger show, right? The talent that we had, chef's kiss. I mean, the women that I had on this show, because it was all women, it was amazing lineup of talent. Like all of the women that were on that, I hope one day that we will all see them on Netflix. That's how great these comics were. And I was like, dude, if I ever put a band together of bad bitches to go on stage, I was like, these are the first people that I'm calling.
Nice.
So we did these shows. The only thing that we had a hiccup is that we booked the shows in July.
Okay.
And Minnesota.
Right. Everybody's outside.
During July, right? So I'm thinking, oh my God, like we only have like 45 people here, right? And the club was, oh my God, you have 45 people here. This is crazy, right? Like this is not a lot, you know? Like thinking like not a lot of people, and they're like, no, you don't understand. Like this is like a sold out show for July.
Okay, yeah.
So I was like, okay, like, all right, now I feel a little bit better, right? But it was the first show I hosted. So we had, like, we rotated host to headliner different nights. That way we could all kind of get the same amount of time throughout the week that we were there for shows. And so the first night that I was at this, I hosted, and I go up there, and I know I'm a good host. Like, I know I'm a good host. So the fact that I wasn't getting that response. And I was just like, dude, this joke hits everywhere. I don't know why I'm not getting the laughs, right? So I do my thing, try to warm up the crowd, introduce the next comic. I come back to the green room and I tell the ladies, I'm like, whew, rough crowd out there, right? I'm like, people seem to be having fun. I was like, but they're not really laughing. Like, you know, I'll get like the like the chuckle, right? All that. So the first comic goes on. She's like amazing, just rips into it. Again, same response. She comes back, oh man, I don't know this. Every comic that went up there were all baddies, right? They're coming back to the green and are like, what the fuck is up with this crowd? Show ends, we're outside taking pictures, shaking hands, saying, thank you for coming to the show, please follow us, blah, 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 all this stuff, buy some merch. Every one of those people that came out, oh my God, this is the best show we've ever been to. It's so right? And the entire show, these people just looked at us and were like this.
Wow. I believe it, yeah.
The whole show, they would not get laugh. Like there was no palpable laughter, right? So we all thought we were like bombing terribly. And then like there were lines of people would take photos of us because they were like, you guys amazing. We can't wait to see you on TV someday. Like, we bet you ground running, you know? And we were like, oh, they liked us? Like, like, I remember after that show, right? We all eat at the food court in the Mall of America. And we're like, what the fuck happened? Like, we were, what the hell? Like, I was like, am I wrong? I was like, did that feel weird? And they were like, dude, I have never experienced this. And our like one of my friends, Carla Collins, she's amazing, right? She's been doing comedy for a very long time because she's an older, more seasoned comedian. She was like, I have been around the world and I have never experienced, Mistress, a crowd like that. So we were all just like, we all thought we were terrible that night, and everybody was just like, bravo, ladies. Like, it was just, so again, who's to say who really knows at the end of the day? Opinions, you know, everybody has them, but it was like one of those moments in time where we were all confused because we were just, he's hit every time, and we were just like, okay, there's no laugh.
That sounds very anxiety-inducing. I mean, in my short period of time in Minnesota, very conservative, very repressed people. They're not very warm. You know, they're nice, they're polite, but they're not exactly like the most like extroverted of individuals. Yeah.
And we 3 shows of that.
That sounds rough. But that's cool. They came up to you afterwards. That I'm sure made it worth it.
We did 3 there, and then we went up to Richmond, Wisconsin, and did this brewery show at the 45th Parallel, right? And it was old 125 people in this like makeshift barn that they turned. It was literally a barn hangar. Yeah. Like a hangar for like a crop dusting plane. Oh wow. That they into a brewery, right? And they had events there.
That's pretty cool.
And sold out. They had 120 people in that place. And the last man, they boom, all off the wall. Like it was like the 3 shows up until Wisconsin. It was like edgy, right? We're like, come on, give us the nut. Wisconsin, we're like, what? Like, we're like, thank God. Like, thank God these people get it. Again, who knew that 45 minutes over the border from Minnesota to Wisconsin would be such a humor?
That is wild, yeah.
But either that or these people were just like very highly intoxicated, which I don't think they were. Sure. Like a middle of the day type of show. Right. Like we got out of there at like 6:30. We were done by 6:30. But that show was amazing. Like just nobody could do wrong that day. Yeah. Nobody. Like everybody crushed. All the comedians, we all crushed. It was a pretty. It was like the icing on the cake because like Wisconsin was like the end of our tour. So
was that the Future is Female comedy show?
Yeah. So So I'm actually going into my 6th year with the Futures Female. So I started during the pandemic, and making all the TikToks, and becoming TikTok famous, which, what the fuck, I should have done. I started my own production company called the Future Comedy Show, and it was just supposed to be, it was literally called the Future Female Comedy Show. It was supposed to be a one-off for the college, right? They paid me a ton of money, and they were like, we want to do something for Women's History Month, and Women's Studies. So they paid me a bunch of money, and they were like, oh yeah, can you put together a comedy show? And I was like, yeah, sure. So we booked out the venue because it was during COVID, and college didn't want us on campus. So I booked a venue with a friend of mine that had a place in LA. It was called Vicky's Clubhouse at the time. It was on Melrose, right? It was a little hole in the wall. Had maybe, it was like 60 seats. Okay. Wasn't very comfortable people in there, but 60. And I booked 10 female comics during the pandemic, and nobody was working. Right. And I was like, hey, I'm going to pay you this. And they were like, what? And I was like, well, I have college money. Like, fuck it. Like, let me pay you. So I put these women up. We sold out the show because we had a live show. We sold out the show. Wow. I had female vendors, and it packed out the house. And it was such an incredible show. Like, we recorded it for the college because they watched it like it was like a Netflix special. And then all did like a Zoom call to meet the students. And students had questions for each of us, and like we're like, oh my god, I love this joke. It was very rewarding experience as a comic to like have people just kind of like fangirl out on you from like a Zoom thing, right? So and everybody was like, that was the best show I've ever been on. Like all the women, they were like, this is like the best production show I've ever been on. And I was like, oh yeah? And they're like, yeah. They're like, you're really good at this. They're like, and people in the crowd, they were like, when's the next one? So I got to thinking, I said, when I was like, I could probably do this again.
That was awesome. Yeah.
So I did. And then I was going to this bar during the pandemic. It was in Orange County. And it was pretty much, my friend lived out in San Clemente, right? Okay. And he was like, hey, there's this open mic that's outdoors. There's no comics here. They'll give you as much time as you want.
Nice.
So I drove an hour every Wednesday to go to this open mic, and it was like an open mic jam, so it was like mostly musicians. So I had a built-in audience, and so every week I would drive an hour, and I would do maybe like 15-20 minutes, and they were like, hey kid, we really like you, like you're really funny, and every day I was writing new stuff just so I could try to do bits and stuff like that, and I was building up like a set. And the owner was there, and he's like, yeah, you're really funny, and I said, hey, you ever thought about doing a comedy show here? And he was like, no, I don't like comedy. He's like, but you're funny. And I was like, oh, okay, well, like it would be more people like me. And so, you know what? He's like, okay, you want to throw a show here? And I said, yeah, I'll have to throw a show here. So he's like, okay, how about I give you this date? And it was a Friday. And I was like, Friday during the pandemic where it's outdoors and people can wear masks and social distance? Fuck yeah. Like, sure. Plus it was Orange County, and they did not believe in the China virus. Oh, right, for sure. They thought masks were just stupid. And I was like, yeah, let's do it, right? So it was my first show outdoors at this place called Knuckleheads. Their whole slogan was, we're sorry, we're open. And the first show, I had 125 people out in this patio.
Nice.
Right?
Wow.
The bar, much money, they ran out of everything. They ran out of mozzarella sticks, chicken nuggets, fries, everything. Wow. Right? And the owner was like, hey, you think you want to do this twice a month? And I was like, yeah.
Very cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was a free show, but because it was during the pandemic, right, I would tell everybody, like, hey, like, we're all out of work because the clubs are closed, tip with 10. And because we were in such a ritzy area, people were throwing hundreds, $50 in the bucket. They were like, oh my God, this was amazing. So at the end of the night, I was splitting tips. And I remember some of the comics that I had booked on that, they were like, this is the first time I've ever been paid to do this.
Wow. That's awesome.
People were like, this is the most money I've ever made doing comedy.
Very cool. Nice.
And like that was such a rewarding experience because not only was I getting better, but I felt like I was helping my community and I was booking people that wouldn't normally get booked on shows.
Right.
Like these people that were the outliers. These were the queer artists. These were the women that weren't getting booked on lineups. You know, there can only be one on every comedy show.
Right, sure.
On every. So the ratio wasn't so great. So I was like, I want to book every girl. You know, like and that's been my principle in The Future is Female. Is like, I don't care, even if you're like the worst female comic, I will. Why? Because no one's giving you an opportunity.
Right.
So I want to buy that. And again, you can only get better by doing.
True.
You can't get better by doing a 3 or 5 minute mic. You have to be in front of an audience.
Right.
And the only way that you get better at that is by being booked in shows.
That's awesome.
You know?
Yeah.
So I did that, and during the pandemic, and I mean, I had big names. And these people would come out from LA to do this show, and I was like, I have nothing to pay you because I'm not making anything. I said, but it's all tips. Like, we don't care. We just want the stage time.
Nice.
And I mean, I had Joey Medina from Kings of Comedy. He came out. He's a good buddy. And he was like, Mistress, this was great. This was so good. This was so fun, you know? And like, just, it was really cool to like, because people were like, oh my God, I'm on a lineup with this guy, you know? Like, I'm on a lineup with this person. And in a shitty dive bar that's on a patio.
Sure, yeah, it's amazing. Are you still doing it in Vegas?
Yeah.
Nice.
Right? So last year, so I keep track of all the shows that I do. Last year, I produced 247 shows.
Wow, that's a lot. of the Future is Female.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. Wow.
When I first came to Vegas, I had a show and a mic every night, like through Thursday. So like 4 nights a week.
Nice.
You know, I'm gigging and I'm putting people up. So
super cool.
Yeah, I could not keep track of how many people I've put up, but it's probably in the thousands.
Yeah.
And not only do I do a comedy show, but I've also been doing a variety show. So I put up a lot of music artists, a lot of poets, people that puppet.
Okay.
Puppets.
Sure.
One clown show. I didn't really understand clowning, so it wasn't really a vibe.
Right.
And I couldn't find that many clowns to keep having a clown show, so it was done. But I would do it again if I could find that community.
Yeah.
And sure. I became a drag artist. So I do drag. So I've been doing drag bingos. And we're in Arizona once a month. This year we're in Texas and San Diego, Utah, Massachusetts, and possibly even Detroit on a regular basis.
Nice. Where in I live in Phoenix, so where in Arizona?
Yeah, so I'm actually doing a show this Saturday at Mic Drop in Chandler.
Okay.
So if you would out, I would love to have you come and check out.
Dang, I wish it was next week when I get paid. That's awesome though. Mic Drop in Chandler. Do you know the cross streets? Or I can find it. It doesn't matter. I'm sorry?
Boston and Arizona.
Oh, nice. Oh, okay. I know where that is. Okay.
It's literally right down.
That is awesome. And so that's every single month?
Every month. But this month, I'm actually going to be there.
Oh, okay.
So this Saturday, this Sunday, doing our brand new show, this brand new show that I created. It's called Ladies' Choice. It's basically like, you know, our take on Kill Tony.
Okay. Yeah.
I think more feminist and more queer.
For sure. Yeah.
Also more degrading of men.
Right. The opposite of Kill Tony.
Opposite. I know Tony Hitchcock very well, hanging out at the Comedy Store.
Yeah,
It's very funny because I'm just like, yeah, Like, I'm like, I would never get on Kill Tony. Like, he just knows me. Like, I would never get on that. So, but it's very, because I tell people, I'm like, it's like Kill Tony, only this. And they're like, it's nothing like Kill Tony. I was like, exactly.
Right.
But so basically, Ladies' Choice show is this weekend.
Nice.
It's 3 rounds. It's a comedy game show. Essentially, I have a panel of women or women presenting folks.
Sure.
The men do 3 rounds, all male comedians. First round is they do 5 minutes of their tried and true material. Second round, like a bucket pull, they have to riff off of a quick topic.
Oh, nice.
And then third round is a box with items. Some of them are sex toys, some of them are just household items, and they go and pick something out of the box, and then they have to sell it to us like a salesperson.
Oh, nice.
Like, is this a sex toy or is this a household item?
Yeah.
And then the audience essentially chooses their champion at the end, and the judges on the panel, we riff and we talk shit about them after every round. And then we have like a female headliner that goes up and does 15 minutes while we calculate the votes. And then at the end, the Ladies' Choice champion gets a tiara and a sash and some flowers, and they get to do their Miss America.
That's awesome. It sounds more entertaining than what Kill Tony has become.
Yeah.
Very different.
It's very much like, we're going to shit on you, but we're also going to uplift you at the end.
I like that. So, that's awesome. Nice.
Yeah, I try to... The motto behind The Future is Female is to put diverse groups to shatter the glass ceilings, proving that women and queer people and people of color are funny.
For sure.
And it's not, the average day white male comic that should... although we do have very many of those on our shows, it's a very inclusive show. Like, I never wanted to just have only one. I never wanted to have just an all-female show, right? Because those are boring.
Okay.
I don't want to be on an all-female show all the time.
Sure. So we have to wrap up very soon here, and thank you so much for coming on. You're very prolific, and I really that's what. All the stuff that you do is really awesome and amazing. My final question to you is, are you into punk at all? Punk rock? And would you consider yourself a punk? Because everything that you're doing is very punk rock.
I go to punk rock karaoke every Monday and it's here. Yeah. But I wouldn't consider myself punk. I would consider myself, I don't know, would it be hubris for me to say trailblazer? But I would consider myself something on that tier, and not to be, not to be full of myself. But shit, if I don't give myself the credit, who will?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know of many women that in the comedy scene or comedy space at my level that are doing the things that I'm doing. Like, I've done college, I've done clubs, I've done dive bars, I've done dungeons. I have a rec gig every year on New Year's Eve at a swingers club here in Las Vegas.
Nice.
Like, I'm bringing comedy to places that comedy wouldn't normally be in, and I'm doing it under the guise of diversity is our hook, right? It diverse lineups with diverse perspectives, and I'm a person that, because I know my light is so bright, I don't feel it will be dimmed by anybody, whether they're better than me or they're coming up. And that's like the thing that I've always I see how other people have done it, and I'm like, I never want to be like this. I always, again, I've been fucked over more times than I'd like to admit by people, just taking advantage of, like, my kind-heartedness. But at the end of the day, comedy is very much an individual sport. Right?
Totally.
You can only be as good as your last set. However, if you have a supportive community behind you, right, that supports you, that wants to generally see you do good and do well and to get gigs and to be on a good platform, to be seen, that helps people. It's the difference. Right? It's the difference from comics killing themselves. And during the pandemic, I lost 10 comic friends because and they had no one to reach out to.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like with the Futurist Female, like I always tell people, like, you're an alumni, you know, like, thank you for being part of our community, because I do value those people. Like, and again, I've had people that I personally would never hang out with and can't stand, but their comedy is fire. I want to put them on my platform.
Sure.
And I, as a producer, want my show to be the best the show can be. Fuck how I personally feel about people. And that's always my mindset, is that your brand, your show is only as good as your last show. So to keep thriving. And some of the things that I really love is seeing talented people, but also seeing people that when they first started to where they are now. And there are a lot of people that when I first put them on my platform, they got no laughs. They were not fun, right? And then I see them now, and those people are working and making money and are in shows. And I've noticed with my brand, because of the way that I carry my brand and the way that I'm so focused on making sure that it puts everybody in a good light, not just myself, right? Because like Mistress K and Futurist Female are not synonymous. Right. They're very much two things, right? Like I have my own career, my own agenda, and then Futurist Female has its own agenda. Some of those overlap and intersect, but they're very much different. And seeing those people and getting those people to be on platforms, like when I see some people that aren't getting booked and then I start booking them, what I've noticed is that because they're on my platform, there are other people that would never like to admit it that are watching you.
Right.
And they're like, oh, well, Mistress is doing that. I should do that. I should book that.
For sure. And
I have no problem with that, as long as it's helping to push the community forward. And I just being in Vegas, it's not the best in terms of the comedy community out here. So I kind of want to be a guiding light to the people that maybe don't feel accepted by the traditional spaces that we already have here. And same thing when I started in LA. Like I wanted to have this person, that person. And then it's funny because, you know, you meet these people and then those people become friends and you're just like, oh, I met at my show or whatever. Like at a comic, right? At a comic, met this woman at one of my shows, ended up getting married to her. I was invited to the wedding.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, this is like
that's so cool.
Right here. So
well, in my eyes, Mistress K, you're about as punk rock as it gets. So as a comedy fan, thank you for everything that you're doing. I really hope I can come out to one of your shows out here in Chandler. Please let me know when you're around, and I'll try to come out. Before I let you go, would you like to tell people where they can find you on social media?
Sure. So Instagram, it's Mistress K Comedy. On YouTube, it's Hooked Up with Mistress K. I put a lot of my sets and content. I did a tour last year and hit up like 15 different cities. So there's like a different set from all those cities that is on my YouTube. And then TikTok, I'm not really on TikTok, but you can find me on TikTok, and it's just the Mistress K on those.
Nice. Awesome. Well, I could seriously ask you so many more questions. You'll have to come back on. But thank you so much for coming on. Everybody, please follow Mistress K and go out to her show. Support comedy, please. And hit like and subscribe. I meant to say that at the beginning of the show, and I forgot. Hit like and subscribe and leave a comment. God damn it. All right. From my heart to yours, thank you everybody so much for watching. Mahalo.
But I'd rather be blind in heaven than sighted in hell.
You wanna To learn that sure be nice. Start your own trend. Start your own trend. Start your own.
Let's ruin our lives.